The prosecution played several audio messages Monday featuring Sean Combs' voice, and though each file was previously entered into evidence, the cadence in the mogul's tone rang off like an interlude to a double platinum 90s or 2000s record. And if it was, you just know he produced it. Can't stop, won't stop, child. It couldn't then have been happenstance that the courtyard which surrounds the Southern District of New York was all abuzz about a guest appearance from a former bad boy artist who just happens to be G. Depp. And I know y'all remember him. Make that money, take that money. Now, not long before the prosecution is set to rest their case against Combs, who's being charged with racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Monday, Joseph Soricilio, who is a special agent for Homeland Security, continued his testimony. That was today. The prosecution took several long, grueling hours reading text messages between Combs and previous witnesses, including Cassie and Jane, in addition to ex-employees. Most notably, the jury was shown even more freak-off videos. And we're talking sex tapes. Now, during this time, the monitors were off, so y'all, I didn't see a thing. I didn't see any naked bodies, child. I ain't see no sex workers. I ain't see nothing, no thighs, nothing, y'all. But get into this. Digital footprints have changed over the last 15 years. That's according to Candace Kelly, a legal analyst and professor of media law at Rowan University. Now, listen. If you know me, then you know that Rowan University is near and dear to my heart because I graduated from Rowan University. Expert witnesses such as Cercilio, who the prosecution has brought on to verify text, video, and audio messages have, according to Kelly, proven to be impactful. This is especially true in the case of key employees who are noticeably absent from the witness list. Now, according to Kelly, listen to this. This is her quote. "The weight of this evidence has been extraordinary." That's what she said. Though Christina Coram has been absent from the witness stand, Kelly said that digital evidence has made her absence less poignant. And then here's another quote from her. She said, "We certainly heard from her in text messages." Now, I want to tell y'all a little bit about Kelly, Professor Kelly, as I call her. She is the co-host of Not All Hood with Malcolm Jamal Warner. Now, y'all know him as Theo Huxtable from The Cosby Show. And he's also an accomplished actor who's been on several other things. And together they host Not All Hood with Wusi Baraka. So I'm going to get back to the article. Closing arguments are scheduled to happen on Thursday. Jury deliberations could happen as early as Friday. Both sides to the judge, that's what they said on Monday. So this is the schedule that they gave Judge Subramanian on Monday morning. That was today. Again, the defense is no longer calling the witnesses that they had once planned. Now, that's huge. Why? Because at one point, the defense had an all-star list, allegedly, of witnesses that they were going to call to the stand. And it's not being spoken about, at least not publicly, as to why that's changed. We don't know. So, I digress. Let me get back to the article. Wednesday, the prosecution and defense will meet for a charge conference. What is a charge conference? Y'all know I had to look it up. So, this is a direct quote from the Law School Research, which is a website. Both sides meet during charge conferences with the judge to decide on a set of instructions that the judge gives to the jury before they can begin their deliberations. Specifically, during the charge conference, the judge and attorneys discuss the specific language and wording of the jury charge. The attorneys may suggest changes or additions to the charge, and the judge will ultimately decide what instructions to give to the jury. Back to Professor Kelly. In 2001, she covered the court case involving the shooting at a nightclub involving Sean Combs and rapper Shyne. Now, do y'all remember Shyne? All right. Shyne was the rapper that did, he had that really deep voice, remember? And a lot of people at Bad Boy didn't like him because he sounded like Biggie, but everybody else really liked him. And I interviewed Shyne, I think 2 years ago for the, I want to say, I don't remember what year anniversary it was, but for the 40/40 Club. And, there was one of the victims who had actually gotten shot. She always said that Shyne never shot her. And she's always maintained that, Puff always was the one that shot her. And in fact, she said that Puff pulled the gun out of Jennifer Lopez's purse. But Shyne was the one that, had that big hit. He had a couple of hits, actually. But, Shyne always had that really deep voice like this or whatever. And Shyne was from Brooklyn. But, when Shyne got released from prison or whatever, he actually got put back, like they sent him back to Belize. And y'all already know, if he wasn't already back in Belize, honey, Donald Trump and ICE would have sent his behind back today. So, but back to the article. All right, so that appeal may have to do directly or indirectly with the jury. So what appeal? It says that the defense could be preparing for an appeal, according to Kelly. Back in 2000, so here's a quote from Professor Kelly. Back in February of 2025, Combs' attorneys argued in a motion that this case is unprecedented in many ways, but perhaps most notably and most disturbingly, no white person has ever been the target of a remotely similar prosecution. Kelly said this is good for the appeal process. Last week's dismissal of juror number 6 still has the defense reeling, citing race as the prosecution's motivation may be a precursor for Combs' legal team's appeal. When Justice Thurgood Marshall, now this is another quote from Professor Kelly. When Justice Thurgood Marshall was alive, he argued that the only way to truly eliminate racial discrimination in jury selection, which he saw as inherent in the use of preemptory challenges, was to abolish them entirely, Kelly said. We have to hold the jury system accountable in real time. Professor Kelly is brilliant. That's my girl. Young, gifted, and black. We love to see it. If race is a factor in the case, the defense thinks so. If there's a mistrial in this case, for example, the next potential jury pool will already be exposed to both the defense and the prosecution's interpretation of the law. The defense's efforts to get the judge to declare a mistrial have been denied at least 3 times. Now, here's another quote. All you have to do is look out your window or turn on the news to see how racism continues to shape all facets of American life, Kelly said. Some may say this is just playing the race card, but these racial disparities manifest across multiple dimensions of the justice system. So, back to the witness. Ceracillo read several messages aloud between Combs and Jane, where the mogul would send money to the influencer. most times through quorum, sometimes after hotel nights, which were similar to the freak-offs Cassie Ventura experienced. The singer's mother, Regina Ventura, was a game changer for Kelly, who said of the witnesses, the ones who have not been involved in a romantic relationship with Combs were the most compelling. Essence previously reported, that's me, that Ventura took out a $20,000 home equity loan after receiving threats of a sex tape potentially being released featuring her daughter and a sex worker. Though the money was returned within 24 hours, according to Kelly, the extortion was completed, though, before the return of that money, as we all know. At the very least, clearly based on the evidence, Sean Combs transported people across state lines for the purpose of prostitution, as we all know. That's punishable by up to 10 years, according to Kelly. She also referenced the $100,000 that witness Eddie Garcia received in exchange for the Intercontinental Hotel. That video, of course, showed Cassie being physically assaulted by Combs. Here's the last quote. We finally got to fill in the blanks of the bribery stories that we've all heard over the last year. Combs has pleaded not guilty on all charges. That's all I have for you today. That was Monday's coverage. And as things begin to finally be buttoned up, I, of course, thank you all for following me and my coverage for Essence Magazine on the Sean Combs trafficking case. I thank you all, and I ask that you please continue to follow me on all social media platforms at James R. Sanders, all one word. Thank you all for supporting Essence Magazine. We all are patiently waiting to see what the verdict will be. And, of course, please continue to follow, like, and subscribe on this YouTube channel. And as always, please continue to be Team Classic.